Welcome everyone, I'm Nnamdi Odikpo. We're live in Abuja and this is the Ballot. A very good evening to you and thanks for joining us tonight. The weather here in Abuja has been dry and hot for days, and I wonder how it is wherever you are. Nonetheless, let's try and spice up your nights. With tonight's episode of the program, which promises to be delightful. Over the course of weeks and months, we have seen various political parties competing in the elections take their campaigns across the country. What are the core messages? Are the messages permeating and touching base with the masses? Tonight, I intend to pursue that line or course of a conversation with a representative of the ruling All Progressives Congress. But before then, let's quickly bring you the major news highlights for tonight.
We consider this meeting important.
INEC meets CBN over cash withdrawal policy, reaffirms it is good to go.
The petroleum resources that has been discovered between Bauchi and Gombe will be exploited.
In Bauchi, PDP promises better times for Nigerians if given the chance.
I wish to warn that no responsible government will close its eyes.
Plus, Wike rallies against electoral violence, promises bitter outcomes for perpetrators. Bauchi is the latest stop for the presidential candidate of the People's Democratic Party, Atiku Abubakar, who says was promising better times for the people, for communities and states in the northeast, and a secured Nigerian for rallying. Rallying for support from the people of the states. The PDP presidential candidate is ramping up his Restore Nigeria message and his 5-point development agenda.
I have also pledged that the petroleum resources that has been discovered between Bauchi and Gombe will be exploited and brought back to the benefit of the people.
Even in these days of Naira cash crunch, and with plenty of eyes on Nigeria's electoral umpire as the elections fast approach, it does seem like the Independent National Electoral Commission is firing on all cylinders. INEC is saying that all issues regarding or relating to security and finance, especially the payments of service providers, have been adequately handled and that it is good to go with the general elections. All of these played out, in separate meetings held by the chairman of INEC with the CBN governor, the national security advisor, the inspector general of police, as well as the chief of defense staff.
In view of the recent policy involving the redesign of some denominations of our national currency and the limits placed on cash withdrawals and availability, we consider this meeting important in addressing some of the areas of concern.
Maybe to raise a few issues, and I would say that before you raise those issues, you should consider them as having been done.
There's a need for me to reassure citizens of this country that whatever fears, whatever agitations they have, I would want to dispel such feelings.
In the meantime, a group of partisans, professionals will clearly identify with the ruling APC government are hoping the president takes decisive measures to stop the hardship being faced by Nigerians arising from the CBN Naira redesign policy. Chairman of the All Progressives Congress Professional Forum, Issa Yuguda, who addressed the media in Abuja, is hopeful that the president's final decision on the matter will be in the interest of all Nigerians and for the socio-economic development of the country.
But in view of the chaos and the near anarchy in some parts of the country, we are of the view that the situation may require more efforts and steps in order to address the possibility of major social upheavals, as the elasticity of the average citizen is stretched to a breaking point.
Let's tell you that Rivers State's Governor Nyesom Wike is lashing out again, but this time against those causing disturbances at political rallies and perpetrating violence in the state. The governor, in a statewide broadcast, directed security agencies to clamp down on cultists and other militant support groups being used by politicians to disturb the peace of the state.
I wish to warn that no responsible government will close its eyes to the threat posed by these cultists, fanatical party support groups, and their sponsors to free and fair elections in the state. Consequently, I have directed security agencies to raid any suspected area or premises and clamp down on cultists, militant support groups, and other miscreants being used.
Well, now let's begin tonight's conversation. My guest is Ayobami Oyalowo, member of the Public Affairs Directorate, 2023 Tinubu Shettima Presidential Council, Campaign Council, I beg your pardon. He appears for the first time on the ballot. Is my usual suspect on Insights, but now we have him here on the ballot, and he will speak to issues concerning his party, its presidential campaign, the candidates, and the party's manifesto, of course, as well as other issues regarding the elections. Welcome to the ballot, Ayo.
Yeah, thank you for having me. Good evening, Nigeria.
I must confess your party's manifesto seems very, very attractive and quite detailed.
Yeah.
But maybe somewhat esoteric. You may choose to disagree there with me, but yet again, it reminds me of the one that I saw in 2014 from the APC in the build-up to the 2015 election. Apparently, it isn't just enough to write down these lofty, attractive ideas and not prepare options and maybe fail-safes. What makes this particular plan, and by that I mean the renewed documents, different from previous manifestos of the APC? It may be useful for you to highlight, how certain elements of the manifesto are prepped for exigencies and are insulated from external shocks or forces.
Thank you, Nnamdi. One of the things you have to discover or remember about this document is that it's a document that has the input of the candidate himself. It wasn't just written by some people in one dark room and then thrown to the public to consume. Rather, it was something that was prepared himself with some other people, and it was extensively discussed by the Presidential Council with all our leaders in attendance, and they were able to look at areas, add their own input, remove some things, and fix a few other things. And also, I would also like to remind you that Bola Ahmed Tinubu is somebody who has always been stickler for plans. That is why you will hear the Lagos blueprint. You will hear the Lagos blueprint. He's somebody who believes that whatever you want to do, you have to write it down. And the Bible also says, write this down, write this vision, make it wrong, whosoever shall that read it. That is in the book of Habakkuk. So he's somebody who has always stick to that principle that you must write down your visions, your plan, because, as a Christian, I'm sure the day we are crossing over December 31st,
yes,
we are told to write down our plans and purposes. And if you don't have a plan that is written, you don't really have a purpose for which you are running. Ashwaju believes in writing his vision. He believes in pursuing it. So this particular document,
like President Buhari wrote down his plans in 2015.
well, I'm not talking for President Buhari.
Yeah, no, I get that, but then
I am talking for Ashwaju, and I would beg to be excused to defend this government or to say anything about this government, not because I am not a member of the APC, but for now, the plan is about Ashwaju, and he is the reason why we are here today.
All right then, but okay, so let's stick to the core of the question now, and then it speaks to the issue of how this particular plan, also envisages exigencies and provides fail-safes, perhaps, yes, for external shocks. How exactly does it do that?
Because you have to
cite examples.
You must have models in everything you do, and the models have to be, look, this is what we want to do. But should this fail because of this, and this is what we should do. See, you always have this fail-safe so that when, for instance, let me give you another example using this particular government. When this government came in 2015, there was a crisis in the world. And that crisis was occasioned by so many things, but it culminated in the prices of oil that went so low at, it was as low as $25 per barrel at a certain time. So for that reason, you must always have this plan B, as we used to call it in the normal parlance. So those fail-safe are developed in case the original plan doesn't work, you have something to fall back on.
So, I reviewed a bit of your principal's appearance at the NESG conversation with presidential candidates on the economy organized by the National Economic Summit Forum, and I listened to his analysis of Nigeria's global marketing mix, especially in prospecting oil and gas, as well as inherent opportunities. He did reference Guyana, exactly. And I am aware that Exxon discovered about 11 billion barrels.
It tells you our candidate is ahead of every other person.
Okay,
it tells you he reads, it tells you he listens, it tells you he follows international global plans.
I'm not arguing that. I'm not arguing that.
I'm reinforcing that.
Well, part of what I gleaned is that Guyana also just launched a different production sharing agreement for prospective oil investors. I may be mistaken, but it does seem like, like your candidate, it looks like your candidate is hoping to consolidate on oil prospecting at a level that may inhibit our national target for greener energy sources. Again, I may have missed it though.
Okay,
please let me land on my question so you can take it.
Okay.
How does the Renewed Hope Manifesto balance the propensity for better engineered oil prospecting by Nigeria in a diminishing global market for oil?
Well,
and the new global direction for alternate cleaner energy sources, with a rising, $1 trillion market opportunities.
Well, we have to realize a few things. When he made that analysis of poisoned, what do you call what this thing we eat in church on them? Rat eating, Holy Communion. People actually misunderstood what he was saying. You see, the world says they are going, just the West says they are going for clean energy. But you see, they have developed their own economy using unclean energy. And don't forget, the moment they had this issue with Russia and Ukraine, Germany and others went back to coal. So these people want to preach down to us what we should do. And we have an economy that we have not yet built. We are still far behind. So you cannot tell us to do clean energy when you have risen by not using clean energy. However, if they want to enforce clean energy, he has told them what to do. Pay for it. If you can't pay for it, we'll do what we need to do. And don't also forget, he's talking about the gas.
Remember that we're signatories to the Paris Accord.
We can always, you remember that when Trump came, he changed all agreement that doesn't work with America. You see, clearly it is about Nigeria, and we are the leaders in Africa. So if we want to write or fix our economy, we cannot be dictated to in a way that we are at loss. Nigeria has 210 million people, as we are saying, and you don't expect us to bring money from heaven. We have to use what we have to make money. So if this clean energy will not help us, we will have to negotiate with them. But before that, also remember that we are talking about gas.
Yes.
Right now they are having challenge between Russia and the West. So we want to be the alternate gas producer for them, and they will pay for us to build the gas pipeline from here to Europe. So for us, there is a clear plan about oil and gas, and we will stick by that plan because we have an economy to develop. Nigerians are already saying they don't want us to borrow anymore. Everybody is saying we don't want to pay more taxes. Therefore, we have to use what we have to get what we want, and that is to develop our economy to a standard where we can now say, okay, let's do clean energy. But for now, we have to do what we have to do to get what we need to get where we need to get.
I get a sense that this is probably why the Renewed Hope document barely mentions the issue of climate change and issues like flooding.
But let me quickly clear something. See, in terms of this climate change, I think people are being misunderstood. I mean,
no, I was just going
our contribution as Africa to climate change is less than 3%. So we are not even a problem. So our contribution to climate problem is less than 3%.
So in spite of what happened in Nigeria in 2022 and the effects of flooding in parts of the country, you do not think it is still a national emergency?
You are not getting my point. We are not the problem of climate challenge. They are.
But we are feeling the effects, yeah.
Exactly.
Shouldn't we then make issues like climate change and issues like flooding?
We will not cut our nose to spite our face. If we want climate change, they should pay for that climate change because they actually damaged the climate. We did not. I told you, we contributed less than 3% to the problem. They contributed the major problem. So, I mean, to the problem majorly. Therefore, you cannot make us pay a price for a problem that was created by the West.
You know, let's quickly move on because we're losing time, and quickly too. Anytime the APC talks about your candidates, Lagos is often brought into the mix, thrown into the mix. Yet, many in and out of Nigeria may not necessarily. You also referenced Lagos when you talked about the Lagos blueprint.
Yeah.
Many may not necessarily consider Lagos a model in terms of Human Development Index. Let's take one example. Lagos is surrounded by water, a wet tropical climate with over 2,000 millimeters of annual rainfall. But a lot of the water in Lagos is not safe to drink. So we have portable water scarcity and challenges of access to drinking water. There are other issues like air and other environmental pollution, traffic congestion, and a couple of other economic challenges. I know we can't take Lagos in isolation in terms of development issues, but if we're then using Lagos as a yardstick to measure some past and current accomplishments of your party's presidential candidate, shouldn't we also talk about why Human Development Index in Lagos between 1999 and 2007 using some of the indices I already referenced?
Can we discuss this seriously? Okay.
Yes, just a few examples.
I'll tell you something.
Please.
Lagos is a victim of the failure of every other state. Because Asiwaju did so well in Lagos, Lagos is suffering the failure of other states. By the time Asiwaju was the governor of Lagos has a population of less than 8 million. As we speak today, Lagos has a population of close to 25 million. So it doesn't matter what planning you put in place. It doesn't matter what development you have put in place. As long as other states are not developing at the level at which Lagos is developing, Lagos will continue to bear the burden of the failure of other governors from other parts of Nigeria. So Asiwaju developed Lagos. Today, as we speak to you, the blue rail line has moved on. If you were in Lagos late 90s, early 2000s.
Actually, I was.
If early 2000,
yes.
You can't pass through Bar Beach. The entire road was washed away. Go back there today. That road is not only good. The Bar Beach that was a threat has been conquered. It is because of this Asiwaju man. Now, you remember just about a week or two ago, the president went to commission some very important projects. The deep sea port, the Dangote refinery, all these were the vision of one man. Before Asiwaju government, there was no Lekki. Lagos stopped after that, after law school and a little bit before it. Today we have not just Lekki, we are almost moving towards Ekpe. These are visions that were born out of the development plan of Asiwaju. Like I said, yes, there are challenges in Lagos. Okay. But the challenges is that people come in by night buses every night in huge numbers. And they keep coming every day. As we speak, when he was governor, like I told you, Lagos had less than 8 million people. Today, Lagos has about 25 million people. And for a state that has the smallest landmass, it's a challenge.
Okay. You know what? Again, I'm noting some intentions of your party manifesto. It's almost like 80 pages. I couldn't go through all of it. So
if we had time, I would have just broken it to you.
But let me help you out here, because a couple of initiatives actually do pop out, and I would like for you to speak to some of these innovative policies. I saw the Found Nigeria project for funding education. Yeah. I noticed the SWAT-like security scheme for response to emergency. I also did see the boosting internal security measures, and then lastly, the direction on the blockchain and digital economy. Can you perhaps just speak to how innovative some of these initiatives are and unique to your party? I mean,
for instance, when you talk about the economy, we have highlighted each region, the strength of each region, and what the government of Asiwaju plans to do is to ensure that those strengths are highlighted and strengthened by the strength of the federal government. Unfortunately, we don't have time. I will have gone into the details of each of the regions. And in terms of security, if you remember, Lagos was one of the worst places to live. It was a jungle by 1999. In fact, I always tell people, go to Surulere. You will see the symbol of that 1999 period before Asiwaju. The entire Surulere is called a gated environment. Every street has a gate. It was because there was a huge security problem. But with the RRS that he developed with the police, today Lagos is one of the best places to live in. So, in terms of security, the plans are there. Honestly, I need to come back here and then we need to talk about...
Yes, I was going to cut in because we need to move on to the last segment of our program where you can tick the boxes. But I need you now to do something for me, Ayo. Look straight into the camera and tell me from your heart of hearts that you believe that your candidate, the APC candidate, Ahmed Bola Tinubu, I mean, is the candidate that Nigeria truly deserves at this point in time, in this point of our transition.
Nigeria is in need of funding in terms of raising funds, in terms of earnings. Asiwaju did that in Lagos from a 600 million IGR to where we are today. So in terms of security, we know what he did. So today, Nigerians, I tell you, we have only one man that can boost Nigeria's economy, help our security, agriculture, and our unity, because he had the most diverse cabinet in Nigeria. So Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu is the president that Nigeria needs to move to the next level.
Time now to prepare for the last segment of our program. Our guests will be presented with a couple of targets and made to choose options that either reflect the feasibility or otherwise.
Actually, I made one mistake. I said Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu. Yes, he's a candidate, but APC is the party to be voted. Yeah.
Anyways, in ticking the boxes, I would like to remind you that some of the targets that were outlined in here, within the time frame of 4 years, which amounts to a president first term in office. Ticking the boxes is up next. Ayo, we've got a couple of issues in the ballots. I mean, on the ballot, I beg your pardon, that we've outlined here. There are 4 major targets. There are 3 options for you to choose from, whether they are feasible, realistic, unrealistic, or whether your party is undecided on the matter. Be reminded that most of these issues are for a period of 4 years. Do you think an issue like food sufficiency is something a Tinubu presidency
extremely realistic?
So realistic. So we take realistic for food sufficiency. We'll move on to uninterrupted power supply. Is that something that is realistic, unrealistic, or would your party be undecided on the matter within 4 years?
I would have wanted something between realistic and unrealistic. It is realistic, but it is still a work in progress.
So you're undecided on the matter.
I don't want to call it undecided because the government...
But you're not taking any of the boxes. So
okay, I'll leave it at realistic.
Realistic, again, it is. And then the third item on the ballot...
That's quite realistic with the...
Ending insurgency and banditry within 4 years.
And from what I told you before, because of what you did in Lagos in terms of growing the economy, double-digit economy growth is very, very
let's quickly move you on to the last item on the ballot. The double digits GDP growth. Actually, that's on your manifesto.
Yeah,
actually,
it's realistic. Yes.
And so
the plan is there.
That's it. I would like to thank you very much, Ayobami Oyalowo, member Public Affairs Directorate 2023 Tinubu Shettima Presidential Campaign Council. I'd like to thank you so much for coming on the ballot. I do wish you and your party the very best in the elections.
Thank you, Nnamdi. I appreciate it.
We're officially at 18 days in our countdown to election day. It may seem like there are still plenty of days ahead, but I tell you something, the days are fleeting. And yet again, you can accomplish something by ensuring that you're prepared, adequately prepared, and ready for the election. Go get your PVCs ready and handy, and I promise you, we will keep you. We will keep scrutinizing these party manifestos here on the ballot. A special edition featuring national conversation will come your way tomorrow at 10:35 p.m. I hope you make it a date. I'll see you again sometime real soon. My name is Nnamdi Odipo. Bye for now.